ادع إلى سبيل ربك بالحكمة والموعظة الحسنة وجادلهم بالتي هي أحسن إن ربك هو أعلم بمن ضل عن سبيله.
MashaAllah. So my master's degree was actually a mashru', a project that 6 students actually participated in. It was actually the verification of an ancient manuscript from the 7th century Hijri. The name of the book was Al-Mafatih fi Hal al-Masabih. And this book was authored by Muhammad ibn Muzaffar ad-Din al-Khulkhali. Al-Khulkhali, he was a scholar from Azerbaijan. He was a Shafi'i scholar from Azerbaijan. And he was Shafi'i in his fiqh. He was Ash'ari in many of his opinions related to creed. So I had this manuscript. It was an explanation of Masabih al-Sunnah. Anybody, you guys know who that book is? Masabih al-Sunnah?
Yeah.
Sharh al-Sunnah. Whose book? Imam al-Baghawi, right? Masabih al-Sunnah, Imam al-Baghawi came along, he erased the chains of narration and kind of summarized it and made it into a smaller compilation. So this book that we did tahqiq of, verification of the manuscripts, was an explanation of that book, Masabih al-Sunnah by Imam Baghawi, by this Imam Muhammad ibn Muzaffar ad-Din al-Khulkhali. So we had to research the book, compare the manuscripts. One of the manuscripts was in Princeton University here in New Jersey. Another manuscript was from Turkey. So we actually had 2 manuscripts that we got our hands on. So what we would do, have the manuscripts, and all the manuscripts were on microfilm, on DVD, CD. So you lay out the manuscripts, right? You compare, note the discrepancies, the differences between, and the Arabic and those manuscripts, it didn't have any tashkil. No fatha, no kasra, no dhamma, none of that. So you had to have, some strength in your
Arabic language,
nahu, sarf, things like that. So I did the first part of that book, and the other students in the master's degree did other parts of the book. So that was my master's degree. Alhamdulillah, I think I got, 3.9 or like 3.87 or something like that. Alhamdulillah, got a master's degree. And Ph.D. was Al-Ruwat الذين وثقهم الإمام الذهبي في كتابه Al-Kashif. The narrators that Imam al-Dhahabi said about them, وثقة, in his book Al-Kashif. Kashif is a book where Imam al-Dhahabi mentioned many of the majority of the biographies of the narrators from the 6 books of Hadith. But he used this special terminology, وثقة, to talk about their darajat. Right? Are his hadith hasan? Are they sahih? Are they considered to be majhul? Unknown. So that was also a mashru' as well. I took a part in that. We studied about 150 narrators from his book, and we had to gather up every single one of their narrations from the 6 books of hadith. So basically, so my master's degree was, I think, close to 1,000 pages, I think, in Arabic. And then my PhD was about 800 pages in Arabic. And my supervisor for my PhD, as we mentioned, was Sheikh Wasiullah Abbas. That we finished pretty good grades for that as well. So that was the master's degree and the PhD. So, and one of the main things about that was you had to have a routine. Like, you have to have a daily routine. That's why I always tell my young ones that you got to have a daily routine. Being on top of your prayer helps you have your daily routine. But just like we have a work routine, a workout routine, right? A walking routine with the family, or out on the weekend, a routine every Friday, every Saturday. So one of the things that was very difficult to do during the master's degree was having that daily routine. I'd go to the university, shut off my phone. MashaAllah, what's up, Shay? How are you doing it? Go into the library, into the cubby. I couldn't sit in an open spot. I'd be easily distracted. Sit in the cubby, phone off, start typing. Type from 9 a.m. until Dhuhr every day, 5 days a week. That was my routine. They say, at-taqra yu'allam ash-shattar. That repetition teaches you how to be a master, the professional. So And similarly with the Ph.D. So the Ph.D. finished my first year of studies, 2016. Started in 2016, I think, yeah, ended 2017. And then I came back to the States and did my writing here. So I would correspond with Sheikh Wasi al Abbas through the internet, through emails. He would review my work. And, you know, he was like, look, you're a Sheikh already. I mean to say that, right? Forget that, erase that. He's like, you're a Sheikh already. You don't need me to review or supervise your work. You already know what you're doing. Because, you know, it was kind of like, you know, with the narrators, it's the same. It's like, kind of like a mathematical problem. You know, you're solving, okay, this is Wuthib, this is the narrator, these are his narrations. You know how to look into those narrations. You know how to look into the chains of narration. You know how to figure out the problem yourself. Now do the same thing with the next narrator, the next narrator, the next narrator. So Sheikh many times, you know, would advise me, hey, you got some grammatical mistakes. Of course, you know, fix them. Maybe, you know, title headings and things like that. Change those, add those, erase those, take those off. So, you know, but Sheikh Wasiela was like a father figure to me, man. Like he was always, I was very close to him, man. And then the one who took the reins after me, I think, was Brother Riyadh from Canada. He became very close to the Sheikh, but, you know, I tried to spend as much time. And these guys, they lived right by Sheikh Wasiela all the time. I'd go over there and they wouldn't even know I was over there sometimes. You know what I mean? In the cut until, you know, we study many books with the Sheikh together. I think Kitab al-Tawheed, right? Those had another, right, as well. Alhamdulillah. So, yeah, so I mean, but like I said, Akhi, when I finished my PhD, that's when I realized that I didn't know nothing. I knew a little bit. You know, وَمَا أُوتِيتُ مِنَ الْعِلْمِ إِلَّا قَلِيلٌ وَفَوْقَ كُلِّ ذِي عِلْمٍ عَلِيمٌ. You know, imagine, okay, you know, we studied 15 years, we got our PhD. Now imagine, you know, Sheikh Salih Fawzan, Sheikh Muhammad Ali Adam Ethiopi, Sheikh Wasi al Abbas. 60 years, you know, 50 years teaching in the Haram. And we're calling ourselves Sheikh Fulan, you know, or Scholar Fulan, or Imam Fulan. We're just learning how to have manners. Like Abdullah ibn Mubarak, rahimahullah, what did he say? He said, right, تعلمت الأدب 30 سنة. I learned manners and how to have proper manners and etiquettes and behavior for 30 years. Then I started to seek knowledge for 20 years. So we're just learning manners now. Now, I mean, how long have we studied for? 15 years, you know, a little bit like that. Been Muslim for 22 years. I'm just learning how to be good with my brothers and sisters in Islam, my neighbors, right? The ethics that they have over us, the imams. So calling ourselves shuyukh and things like that, I mean, you know, we're just graduating from the school of manners. Forget about learning from the Abdullah ibn Mubarak. 30 years of adab and 20 years of knowledge. How many years have we studied? Right? 5 years, a year, 2 years, 6 months, things like that. And we think, you know, Sheikh Fulan. You didn't even graduate from the Mahad. You're Sheikh Fulan. Right? You spent 6 months in Yemen, Sheikh Fulan. You make your Umrah trips and visit, you know, some of the shuyukh in Mecca or Medina, Sheikh Fulan. Like, come on, man, there's like seniority to this. And that's how you find even our scholars in Mecca and Medina. You know? Look how, when I used to sit next to Sheikh Muhammad al-Banna, rahimahullah, and Sheikh Rabi' would come every Maghrib and come and kiss Sheikh Muhammad al-Banna on the head. Seniority in this. They had respect for their elders. Where's our respect for the seniors? That's how we were when we came to Mecca. I knew Musa was there before me. Jibreel was there before me. Ali Roach was there before me. Isa Perry was there before me. Zahid was there before me. So it was like, they're the big brothers that you look up to. They're the big brothers that you benefit from. Hey, who's a good sheikh to buy? What's a good printing from this book? What's a good bookstore? Like that. And we still have that to this day, I think, a lot of us. Yeah. And we should. And if we don't, it needs to be revived. Definitely. Yeah.
What was the hardest part coming back to America after graduating?
Allahu Akbar. Hardest part, huh? Coming to the reality that I can't save the ummah, and coming to the reality that there are not going to be tens and hundreds of communities waiting to embrace you and fight over you to say, come and be the imam or scholar or whatever teacher in our community. That was one of the hardest things. Like sacrificing all those years. You know, alhamdulillah, we studied to remove the jahl from ourselves. the ignorance from ourselves, but now having that heavy responsibility and burden on your shoulders that now I have to come back and teach. And coming to some masajid, you don't find anybody in the masjid. You go to some communities, right? You don't have people who want to learn. Not in meeting people who don't value or appreciate knowledge, Islamic knowledge, and those who carry that knowledge. That was one of the most disappointing things coming to find here back in the United States. But coming back too, I said, well, hey, we still have to fulfill our heavy burden on our shoulders. Like the burden that I have is different than other brothers' burdens who may only have graduated from the Ma'had or, giving back to the community. So let's say in the community that I'm at, there's not a lot of students of knowledge. There's not a lot of people who want to learn Arabic and things like that. But the ground is ripe to teach people about Islam, non-Muslims. So when I came back in 2015, that's when I realized. I said, being volunteer imam here and khatib here and teacher here, and realizing none of these masjids have a budget for dawah. You say, what's your budget for dawah? Dawah? What do you mean dawah? What's dawah? Our dawah is, what we consider dawah is doing this and giving a khutbah or reading a book in the Masjid Riyadh al-Salihin. No concept of, hey, those people, non-Muslims, your neighbors out there, they need to be given dawah. They need to be given the message of Islam. So finding 7 out of 10 masajid in America that are like that, I said, well, look, we need to focus on giving dawah to non-Muslims. Alhamdulillah, we have a lot of people giving dawah to Muslims. Alhamdulillah, now people go on YouTube, on the internet, and I don't like that. But that's the way that we have kind of assisted in dumbing down our communities and taking out the barakah of these type of blessed gatherings that we have here. We need to get back into the habit of coming to the masjid, putting in some effort. Now, knowledge is not something cheap. Right? Knowledge is not something cheap where, you just get it for free on YouTube or you get it for free on Instagram or get it for free on Facebook. Right? It should be something that you sit down, like how we sat down, rubbing the knees, your knees cracking, you can't get up, you got arthritis from sitting for an hour straight. You're so, embarrassed to straighten your foot in front of the sheikh, so you sit still, like if there was a burn on your head, because you're worried that the sheikh might, become upset or other brothers might reprimand you or, advise you and things like that. So, that was one of the things, and realizing too that, hey, we have a lot of work to do. The work never stops. The work never stops. The most important thing is that we tread upon the path and we die upon the path. May Allah make us, inshallah, upon the straight path and enable us to die upon it. Not that we reach the goal. Our goal is Jannah. Alhamdulillah, you're never going to reach your goal here in the dunya. It's never going to stop. Right? Talibani la yashba'an. 2 types of students or seekers are never satiated, never fulfilled. The one who seeks knowledge and the one who seeks dunya. So we're always trying to learn. And the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, he said, as it came in the hadith of Tabarani, he said, أحب الناس إلى الله أنفعهم للناس. The most beloved people to Allah are those who are the most beneficial to mankind. So yes, educating our Muslim communities, this is fundamental, this is prime. But one aspect that will help us to better the situation amongst the ranks of Muslims is calling the non-Muslims to Islam, to clear up their misconceptions, the Islamophobia, right? You saying, oh, Muslims are terrorists? All right, come to our mosque, listen to the Friday sermon. Come in the back room and eat a lunch with us. Have you ever read the Quran? Here's a copy of the Quran. So coming back, that's, finding, all right, well, a lot of the communities that I am, I'm in Western Maryland, we're in the hills. So yeah, you have some people, who want to learn, but not serious, not dedicated. May Allah increase them in dedication and desire to learn. So focus is on non-Muslims, which I realized in 2015 that niche is not being filled. Alhamdulillah, there's many opportunities, many classes online and in person in the city of Philadelphia. I don't think you guys have anything to worry about. Class in every masjid probably you go to, right? But what are we doing for the non-Muslims? Our neighbors at work, our colleagues at the university, people on the street. Right? That's بَلِّغُوا عَنِّي وَلَوْ آيَةً. بَلِّغُوا عَنِّي وَلَوْ آيَةً. Convey upon me even if it's one verse. Right? So when we convey the message of Islam to non-Muslims, it helps clear up. It stops the bullying in some of the public schools, right? The misconceptions that they have about Islamophobia, okay? Because they get their version of Islam from the mainstream media, not from meeting and interacting with Muslims in person, no. So may Allah aid us.
I mean, what was some of the advices the scholars gave you knowing that you was returning back to America?
Sheikh Wasiullah Abbas, he always used to tell us this. He's like, look, you guys came here not to live here and stay here and remain here forever. You guys came here as sufara. Like, you guys came here as ambassadors. You learn from us, you take what you can, take from the university and go back and teach your people. Same thing Sheikh Muhammad Ali Adam used to tell me the same thing. He's like, Faruq, you're crazy if you want to live here. Why you want to live here? You came from America. Your people need Islam more than the people here in Mecca need Islam. Go back. That's an amana upon your shoulders. Go back. I'd be like, Sheikh, no, Darul Kufr, this and that. He's like, look, when Mu'adh radiallahu anhu was sent to Yemen, the Prophet told him, gave him, right, you're going to come to the people of the book. That the first thing you invite them to is La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. Same thing with you. We're sending you to America. University is sending you back to your country. Let the first thing that you call them to is La ilaha illallah. So, and Sheikh Wasiullah, he used to tell us this. He used to say, don't call me. This was after I finished my master's degree. And I remember there were brothers who came from Umrah. So, occasionally when any brothers would come from Umrah, all of us would, either meet or we would escort them, take them around to the different shuyukh and things like that. One group had come for Umrah, and I was bringing them to meet Sheikh Wasiullah Abbas, and they were like, oh Sheikh, if we have any questions or anything, who can we call you? Can you give us your number and things like this? Sheikh was like, no, call him. Call Faruq. Faruq's in America with you. He can answer your questions. So, yeah, of course, we always like to refer back to the big scholars. We're students of knowledge. But studying for 5 years, 8 years, 10 years, you should have a good background in fiqh, in all the masa'il. You studied 4 years, 6 years in the university, 8 years, 10 years, 15 years in the university. You should have a good background in hadith, a good background in tafsir. That's the expectation from you. That, hey, only call me if you have those, a nawazil that you really can't find any usul to relate it to, or you can't find the illah or the justification of the ruling and things like this. Call us in those issues. All right? But the general issues that we are educating the people with, alhamdulillah, I think majority of us, at least those who've graduated from the bachelor's degree have covered that and even more, especially if they spent significant time with many of the scholars in Mecca as well. So,
Was there ever a goal that you set out Islamically to achieve and didn't achieve it yet?
Oh, make Hajj. Yeah, make Hajj. And subhanAllah, alhamdulillah, that was a goal that was achieved. Alhamdulillah, Allah has blessed us living in Mecca. Alhamdulillah. I would say every year, alhamdulillah, we found a way to get into Hajj. In the beginning.
That you haven't achieved.
Oh, that I haven't achieved. Oh, I thought you said I haven't achieved. A goal in Islam that I haven't achieved. In this dunya or in the, Jannah. But we have to die to go to Jannah. So, a goal that I haven't achieved. Okay. One goal that I have now, I have a mashru' going on now. Actually, a few. One is I have a tafsir I'm working on. A book of tafsir I'm working on. And the tafsir is based upon the order of revelation of the verses. So I think our Sunnah community, our Salafi community here in Philadelphia, they need to start, the visionaries of Philadelphia need to get together and start looking, what are we leaving for our youth? How many Islamic universities do we have in Philadelphia? How many, I don't know, you guys know better than me, how many Islamic community centers are there run? Not the YMCA. How many Muslim-owned community centers are there where our Muslim youth can come and play basketball? Our Muslim youth can come, you want to fight? We'll take it to the boxing ring. Let's go. We're not going to bring out these guns or anything like that. Take it to the boxing ring. I don't know, are there any Muslim-owned and run community centers? These are the things that we need to be working towards. Because when we're all gone, how much, 40, 50 years old? We're close to 40, 50 years old. What are we leaving for these kids? What are we leaving for our grandkids? What's the legacy we left behind? So that's what I would love to see, hopefully, in any way that I could facilitate it, any way that I could help and assist in making it happen. I'm at the service of the Muslims. I always ask Allah Azza wa Jal to make me a servant and a slave of the Muslims, to be able to facilitate things and cater to their needs, and to be able to fulfill my responsibility.
And our two closing questions, Sheikh. What are the qualifications that you need to write a tafsir?
Qualifications. So it depends. المفسر والمفسرون وتفسير المفسرون. First and foremost, have extensive and expansive knowledge of the Quran, memorization of the Quran, qira'at, the different qira'at of the Quran, different knowledge of nasikh wa mansukh, the abrogated and abrogating verses, extensive knowledge of nahu, extensive knowledge of sarf, extensive knowledge of balagha, extensive knowledge of al-mutashabihat wal-muhkam, right, the different verses, extensive knowledge of al-munasabat, the relationships between the different verses to each other, the different surahs to each other, the different knowledges of the different schools of tafsir, the tafsir bil-ma'thur and tafsir bil-ra'i, right, the tafsir based upon views and opinions, and the tafsir based upon narrations, like tafsir Ibn Kathir, tafsir al-Baghawi, tafsir al-Wad Bayan, and things like this. So, and that's just the beginning. So I'm not even ahl to write an explanation of tafsir or explanation of the Quran. But what I do whenever I, embark upon a project to author a book, I look and see what's out there to the people, and I say, well, maybe this will be in addition to what's out there in the field. Like, in English we have tafsir Ibn Kathir, which is tafsir bil-ma'thur, we have tafsir al-Sa'di, which is like mukhtasar jiddan, we have tafsir, what's the other good ones in English? You have Mawdudi, but, we don't read that too much. Fi dhilal al-Quran, also in the shade of the Quran, we don't read that too much either. But I never found anything that actually, because one of the things that, I actually encouraged me to start writing this tafsir is, when new Muslims or revert Muslims or converts start getting into the tafsir of the Quran and start reading it from like Baqarah, then Ali Imran, then Nisa, then Ma'idah, then An'am, then A'raf, they're not sometimes catching the context. Like, okay, Fatiha, okay, we got it. But now I want to understand the Quran and how, and be in line with the seerah of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam.